Let me just say this again to remind you, you are a goddess. I don't care what you look like, where you come from, what your story is, whoever you are watching this, you are a goddess, and it just takes a simple decision to acknowledge that in yourself. And you are fucking worthy just because you are. You don't have to do anything or be anything to be worthy.
1, 2, 3.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, the spiritual bad bitch. My name is Anila Sita. If you're new to my channel, then you're fucking lucky that you made it to this channel. If you're back, welcome back. I hope you're doing good today. I am so excited about today's video because the shit that I'm about to talk about will change your fucking life. If you know me, you know I also make videos on how to get people obsessed with your energy, and this is like the part 2, the addition to that video. So first of all, I'm going to share my story. I'm pretty sure if you're a woman watching this, you will relate. And then we're gonna get into some hacks that I learned on how to tap into their divine feminine energy and radiate goddess vibes, okay? You're gonna have people calling you a goddess left and right because that's what you fucking are, bitch. You're a bad bitch. You're a goddess. You're a queen, all right? Okay, so basically I grew up in a hyper masculine environment. The men in my family were viewed as something that was like more important. Like low-key, I don't know what this weird ass pattern was on one side of my family, like my dad's side. It just seemed like my brother and my dad were just worshipped for the fact that they were men. And I saw how all these stereotypes were going around of like women's opinions are less important, and it was basically never about like tapping into my innate power as a woman, but basically because my family was set up in a way where it seemed like men's opinions were more important, and I always had to cater to like their needs. And I was my dad's secretary as well for a while, and I felt like I was always the one taking care of shit. I was always the one holding stuff together in my family, so it really put me in a masculine energy of always thinking I have to go pursue stuff, I have to use force in order to get what I want in life. It's like I was just not in a state of trusting, and that also meant when I started dating guys, I was hyper masculine in the sense that I couldn't let them come to me. Even in the bedroom, like sexually, it was always about how to please the man. It was never about how to receive pleasure. And it's not even just the men in my family that gave me this pattern. It was also my mother was low-key a people pleaser. It was always putting other people's needs before her own, particularly men. It's like I just remember growing up seeing in my childhood how she would always make it about the man, whether he was happy. I didn't learn how to actually receive. My mom was just overexerting herself, she was overgiving, and I really took on that shit from both sides of my family of like always catering to men's needs from my dad's side of the family, and then sort of seeing the people pleaser in my mom. And continue to watch this video because we're gonna get into like the dark feminine as well, and it's all about not fucking people pleasing. It's about being unapologetic. I feel like I get so many messages from people saying like, how are you so confident and unapologetic, like, and it's honestly because of all this stuff that I'm talking about right now. What I've been learning now is actually we as women innately have something that makes men want to chase us. So by us stepping into our divine feminine energy, it happens automatically. You don't have to do anything or be anything, but just radiate that feminine energy in order to have people be obsessed with you. So in the past, I was often so hyper focused on the needs of men. And don't get me wrong, like, yeah, at some point I did have people obsessed with me. I did have people chasing me, but was I really happy with myself? Not really. A lot of the time I had low self-worth. Was I receiving pleasure in the bedroom with these men? And the truth is, again, no, I was not. And it's not about fucking pleasing a man. Us women are powerful, and we are not here to please men. So let me give you the biggest fucking principles of divine feminine energy and why I upgraded to be this goddess that I fucking am right now, and you will be too. The main principle is feminine energy is trusting that you will receive in whatever scenario. So whether that's your dating life, whether that's your dreams, whatever the case may be, it is the part in you that is just innately able to attract and receive. It's about magnetic energy where you are non-negotiable with the things that you want, and you also trust that it will come to you. And now a big question that I know some people will ask me is, but how can you just trust that you receive, especially when you're so conditioned to thinking you have to go after things, which is masculine energy, and like pursue? It can be really hard to trust that you will receive. My answer is there is no quick way. This is just part of the journey of stepping into your feminine energy. One tip I can give you is you have to know what it is that you want before you can actually receive something. And this is now gonna sound so fucking oversimplified, but it's something that I never really thought about. So us women, we're very conditioned when we're dating a guy to ask ourselves, does he like me? And we overanalyze all the reasons why he may not want to be with us. We get afraid because it's stemming from a place of lack of self-worth. So a really easy way to step into your feminine energy is by asking yourself, what is it that I want? And is this guy giving me what I actually want? And if you don't know what you want, then I suggest you take a fucking step back and ask yourself those questions until you have the clarity and the answers for them, because otherwise you're just gonna be in situations constantly where you're pleasing them and doing what you think you should do to be liked instead of just being who you are, radiating unapologetic energy and letting those who want to be with you come to you, but also being non-negotiable when men come into your life that don't match up with what you want, being able to say no to that and trusting that the right person will come along that will have those traits that you want and that will treat you the way that you want to be treated. And this sounds so fucking basic, but it really changed a lot for me. If you're in a shitty dating situation, like you're not attracting your person, let me remind you from a higher perspective, you only can learn what it is that you want by experiencing what it is that you don't want. That's the way that we learn, through polarity. You go through shit to recognize, I don't want this shit anymore, and to make yourself a new list of things that you do want. So I used to have really low self-worth when I was dating, to the point where, you know, it was always me asking myself, is he gonna like me and stuff? And nowadays, I'm a lot more confident and I kind of sit back more. And I'm like, bitch, I'm a fucking goddess. Let me just relax, lay back, and let me be entertained. I had to stop recording yesterday because the mosquitoes were getting the best of me and it was too dark. So I'm recording this on the next day now. Something I wanted to share that really helped me step into my divine feminine is by asking men to do things for me or waiting for them to do things. Oh my god, this is like a little hack. Really helps me step into that goddess energy of just being catered to and provided and taken care of as a woman. So let me give you some examples of how you can do this. One example is, if you have like a heavy suitcase and you're walking somewhere in public, literally do not carry that shit yourself up the stairs. Stand right before the stairs and look around with your energy open of allowing somebody to come in and help you out with your suitcase. What this does is it puts you in like a receptive mode, because I'll be honest with you, like in the past I've noticed my energy was so masculine that even when I was carrying a heavy suitcase, I had this hyper independent, nobody helped me out, I can do everything on my own kind of energy, and I would walk up the stairs dragging this heavy ass suitcase that clearly I did need help for, and I would complain that nobody would come up to me and help me. But I realized that even that is like a two-way street of you having to put out the energy of allowing yourself to be helped in order for someone to actually come and help you. Another thing that I do that is just a lot of fun, this is like a really silly example from my personal life. What happened the other day is I was out with a guy and we were sitting next to each other and he was drinking out of his coconut, and then at some point he made a comment about how it was so good and how I should try it. So instead of me reaching out to grab the coconut and pulling it to myself and drinking from it, which is again like masculine energy, and this is like a really basic example, but you can use this example to apply it to any situation, I literally sat there and I just looked at it and I waited for him to take it and move it closer to me so I could drink from the straw. It just is stuff like that. So any kind of situation where you can allow the man to do something, it's also like literally sitting in the car and when he gets out, like sitting in there and waiting for him to open the door. Or when you go into a restaurant, don't fucking go for the chair straight away and grab it yourself. Stand in front of it and let it be known that you are waiting for him to pull out the chair. I feel when you're not in your divine feminine energy, it's little things like this that help tremendously to put you more in a state of receiving, and it also just makes life a little bit more fun. So I would really suggest trying this if you haven't done these kind of things before. Okay, now I want to say something. When you start to step into your divine feminine energy, what should happen naturally is you start to attract divine masculine men too. But this can take time, and I feel, at least from my personal journey, you will have tests thrown your way of men who are not in their divine masculine. The universe is putting you in situations where you're still gonna want to act out of your masculine, you're gonna want to pursue, you're gonna want to put in effort and sort of make things happen by force, opposed to being in a receptive mode, which is, you know, feminine energy. So this is where it is really important that you become non-negotiable with what it is that you want. That way you can weed out the men that are not in their divine masculine, and as soon as somebody comes into your life who's not in their divine masculine, you will be able to cut that shit out and then direct your attention and focus to wanting to attract divine masculine men. I've noticed the biggest thing is with divine masculine men, it's men that allow you to be a woman, men that take charge, opposed to you having to be the one taking action, making the plans, organizing stuff, just putting in the efforts. I've noticed, like, from my personal experiences and from what I've learned, dating is supposed to be effortless. It's not supposed to feel like you're always the one putting in efforts, or unless you put in energy, it's not gonna keep moving. If it stops moving forward because you stop putting in effort, then that's probably not the right person. And now another thing that I actually spoke about with my mother, which is the question of where do you find these men and how can you trust that that comes into your path. So this is where, again, feminine energy plays a huge part, and it's being in a flow state. That means living your life in the flow and doing things that you want to do and not making your decisions based on where you could meet a man. So for instance, on weekends, I used to go partying a lot, particularly with the intention to meet a guy. And that was in the back of my mind. Like, I'd never admitted this to anybody, but really deep down, I would go clubbing to hopefully meet someone. But then I really thought about the kind of man that I want, and I thought to myself, I don't think the man that I want would be in a nightclub. I think he would be probably doing the same thing that I'm doing, you know, living his life, being busy, or just doing like-minded activities. This is where trust comes in, that you don't have to go out looking for love, you don't have to do anything in order for that to come in. You have to be in a state of receptivity and trusting that that man is going to appear in your path when you are living in your highest truth and good and frequency. And that is by always in every moment doing what it is that you want to do. So I hope that me giving this advice is going to help someone, because it really helped me a lot to trust in my path and to just allow things to come in, opposed to always thinking like I have to do something for that to happen. Okay, and now I'm getting to the favorite part of this video, which is the dark feminine. I was doing a lot of research on the dark feminine before making this video, and honestly, to me, it's not even the dark feminine, it's literally just divine masculine. So this whole video is not just about divine feminine, it's about the balance of feminine and masculine, because to me, if I'm being completely and truthfully honest, a woman is only in her goddess divine feminine energy if she's got the perfect balance of feminine and masculine energy. So the dark feminine / divine masculine, it's basically being unapologetic. As I was saying in the beginning, with who you are, it's about speaking your truth even when it feels weird to do that. So basically, ways that you can step into your dark feminine / divine masculine is by being assertive. So being direct, particularly for money situations as well. If you imagine like a man in a business meeting, he most likely is just gonna ask for what it is that he wants, and he's not going to feel any shame or guilt about it. Whereas women really struggle to actually ask for their worth. And I remember seeing this interview with Cardi B.
I definitely get paid equally. You wanna know why? As I came up and everything, I used to see some male rappers, right? that we used to do shows together, and I used to ask, why this man making more money than me when I'm the one that bringing out all the bitches? So you know what I said? I'm going to stop taking bookings until y'all start paying me more. And that bag doubled the fuck up.
It's really this boss bitch energy of not lowering your fucking worth and acting the way that a man would in that situation. Nicki Minaj, another female rapper, was talking in an interview about how, like, if a woman speaks a certain way, she gets called a bitch, but if a man was doing it in that situation, it would be okay. So basically, anytime you feel you're too much or you're too aggressive or whatever the case may be, ask yourself in your head, if a man was doing this, would he be judged? And if the answer is no, bitch, continue to do your thing and don't fucking let yourself be shamed by anybody. That is the best energy to be in, to radiate your authenticity as unapologetically as possible, and that way you will attract situations that match that frequency of yours, which is your authentic truth. And you will also attract, like, your love life to be matching that energy, friends to be matching that energy. Essentially, you can't draw in the situations and people that you want unless you are actually acting and being the way that it is you want to be. When I'm really disempowered, I ask myself, how would the empowered version of me act? And I do this in a way, again, of playing the gender roles in my head. Like, if a man was doing this, would it be wrong? If the answer's no, I'd probably go and do it and don't think twice about it. And sometimes, like, I personally really struggle to speak my truth in any situation. So that being, you know, talking about what I feel, talking about things that piss me off, particularly in relationships. I've really suppressed myself in the past because I was afraid to say things that bothered me out of a place of unworthiness. But now I'm learning, like, bitch, I am fucking worthy and I'm gonna voice my thoughts, because every time you don't voice your thoughts, you're sending a signal to your inner child that what she feels and thinks is not important. So I take care of my inner child the way that I would take care of, like, my own child, which is that I listen to her. And when she's angry, as in when I'm angry about something, I honor that and I express it, and it increases your self-worth and your self-esteem the more that you do this. And not people pleasing. I said this one in the beginning. Stop doing stuff out of fear of what people will think or out of fear of upsetting people. The amount of times I've said yes to going places and doing things that I didn't really want to do just because I didn't want to hurt anybody, and now I don't do that anymore. I tune in to my body and see how is it that I feel, and if I don't want to do something, I honor that and I say it. In the moment, those things can feel very awkward when you're expressing your truth so unapologetically, but to be honest, for me, it's again no longer about what other people think of me or how they perceive me. I did not come here to please anyone, and neither did you. You came here to live in your truth. And you know what happens when you start saying what you don't like is you give other people permission to do the same. And now another big one that has to do with stepping into your fucking goddess vibes and being unapologetic is honoring your sexuality and not shaming yourself for being a sexual being and for wanting to wear certain things. Wear whatever the fuck you want to wear and don't care what people have to say. There are so many messages ingrained in our society of how certain things make a woman a slut, or how certain things make you come across as having less respect for yourself. If I'm being honest, I used to get really triggered by women like Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B because of the clothes they were wearing and the stuff they were rapping about, until I started realizing that I was getting triggered because I grew up in an environment that was so disempowering for my own sexuality that I then carried that judgment in myself towards myself, that I was projecting it onto these other women. Because the truth is, people who judge you for your sexuality, wearing what you wear, being who you are, it's not about you. That's like the good thing about this, is people are not judging you for something you're actually doing wrong. They're judging you for something that they judge in themselves, and they're projecting it onto you. So when you recognize this, it's really easy to be kinder to those who judge you and recognize it's actually got nothing to do with you, and you're just doing them a favor. Because a lot of the people that I judged in the past are like now my idols. Like Megan Thee Stallion, I was really triggered by her, but now I fucking love this woman because she allowed me to step into my power. ask yourself, how can you turn shame into confidence? Because often we feel shame as women, again, towards our sexuality or the choices we make. And let me tell you something about shame that I learned in this book I was reading, which I'll put up here for those who are interested. Basically, she talked about guilt, shame, and embarrassment, and she said that shame was the worst, which I'll explain now why. So she said guilt is about something you've done, so feeling guilty for an action. Embarrassment has more of a humorous like sensation to it, so it's something that's more shared. People can laugh together about something that embarrassed them, whereas shame is for who you are. It's usually that you think there's something inherently wrong with you, but what actually is interesting about shame is everybody feels it. It's just different because nobody talks about it. It's silent. And that's how shame gets its power. So anytime you catch yourself feeling ashamed, the way to get out of it is actually to speak about it. For me, it just helps a lot to recognize that shame is something that everybody feels, and you can turn it into confidence, but it takes a certain level of awareness. So I really hope that like my video is giving you awareness and is raising your frequency in a way that makes you be able to turn it into confidence, you know? And usually shame kind of stems from unworthiness as well. Like, let me just say this again to remind you, you are a goddess. I don't care what you look like, where you come from, what your story is, whoever you are watching this, you are a goddess, and it just takes a simple decision to acknowledge that in yourself. And you are fucking worthy just because you are. You don't have to do anything or be anything to be worthy. Now, another thing I wanted to say of how to step into your divine feminine energy is always choose yourself above everything and become your own best friend. This is something that I didn't realize how much this fucks us up when we're acting out of a place of loneliness, may that be in our love life or with friends. We are always choosing people for the wrong reason, because you're not actually choosing people. It's like you're just around them because you cannot be with yourself. You feel so lonely and so unworthy that you're attached to all these things. And I actually only learned this lesson recently. So I lived in London before. For those of you who watch my videos, you know I'm in Bali. And when I was living in London, I thought I was happy, but actually I was really fucking unhappy. I was really lonely, and it was only when I came to Bali that I learned how to become my own best friend, which was by spending a lot of time with myself. Loneliness is a shitty emotion, and sometimes it may not be the best to be on your own, but I've noticed if you're on this journey of really wanting to connect with yourself and wanting to choose people for the right reason, then you need to become your own best friend. I remember when I came to Bali, the first few days, first week was absolutely horrendous, and I felt so lonely, and I really wanted to leave. A big part of me was like, you made a mistake. Why the fuck did you come out here without anybody? How are you gonna meet people? I had all these anxieties around this stuff, and maybe some of you relate, whatever situation you're in. With time, I kind of just accepted, look, I'm alone, and I put full trust, which is again feminine energy, full trust into my journey that the people who are meant to come into my life will. And from that moment, something shifted. Like, I just started enjoying my experience. I started taking myself out on dates. When I was by the ocean, I would play with the waves and laugh and giggle like a little fucking child, and I'm pretty sure on the outside I looked absolutely crazy to other people, but I personally felt so connected to my inner child. I feel that loneliness also requires people to do inner child healing and work. What I do when I'm trying to connect to my inner child is I literally write in a notebook to my inner child, like, you know, dear baby me, this is what I'm feeling right now. And then I say to my inner child, I allow you to write through me. And I literally wrote in the beginning when I was in Bali, I wrote like 3 pages full of my inner child ranting and being like, you always fucking talk about how you feel lonely. How do you think that makes me feel? You're not alone. You have me. Why don't you just have fun with me? Which is again to be your own best friend. So if you struggle with that concept, I really feel like the inner child thing kind of makes you see it as you are 2 people, you know, and you can connect with that part in yourself. And the moment I started doing this is when I started miraculously attracting people into my life. Now, one last thing I want to say kind of ties into like my video that I made about how to get people obsessed with you. I just want to reiterate that you don't have to do anything to get people obsessed with you. If I'm being completely honest, it's not fun to always think about manifesting another person. It's a lot more fun to be in receptivity mode of this person is gonna come to me because I'm a boss fucking bitch and I'm a goddess and I deserve that person, and if they don't come, then they're fucking lost. But you don't have to put so much energy into making someone fall in love with you. I realized that the real way to get people obsessed with you is not by doing anything to change them. It's not a fucking love potion. It's you having that innate feminine energy. People are obsessed with you because of the energy you radiate. All I'm saying is work on your energy and your self-concept. It's really not about always focusing so much on other people. That's what this whole video is about, focusing on you and making your energy magnetic. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and you got something out of this. Thank you so much for getting to this point. I appreciate the support and love so much, and I hope you have an amazing day. I'm sending you so much love and light.